My name is Pratyaksha Jha. I'm here today with Mr. Utpal Borpujari, who is a national award-winning filmmaker and film critic. We're standing right outside where his newest film, Ishu, was just screened. This is a film he's made with the Children's Film Society of India, and we're going to be talking to him today about what it's like to make movies and more specifically make movies for young people. You picked film as a medium. What do you think it does that other media is unable to do in terms of conveying a message? Why do you prefer it in that sense?
See, I've been a journalist all my life. So after having worked as a journalist in Delhi and also in Northeast for different media groups, there are many stories which need to be told, but they don't make news immediately. So then I thought, since I was a film critic, I have been watching films for many years now, and I'm a very passionate film viewer, and I watch films from all over the world in festivals and wherever I get an opportunity. So I thought that film is, we all know it's a very powerful medium, but when you actually want to tell stories from many, the remotest parts of the country or many even communities or societies about which we don't know, films are the best medium to bring out their stories. So I thought I would shift to filmmaking, and that's how I started. And I made a couple of documentaries, for 5 documentaries before making this feature film. So that's how it started.
That sounds wonderful. So, do you think that somewhere making a film for a younger audience is challenging or different? And what did you have to keep in mind while doing that, especially with this film? How is it different from other films for you?
So it's always a challenge to make a film for younger audiences because, especially in India, in Europe, you have a proper structure to make films for younger children. Even the private producers, private studios, they make films for young kids, young children. Children up to the age of 16 years. There are categories of various age groups for which films are made. But in India, except CFSI, which is a government organization, there are almost absolutely no private funding for children's cinema. In regional, what we call regional cinema, that is the cinema in various Indian languages, there are of course some examples of that, especially in the recent years, where films are meant for young audiences. But at the same time, it's just a drop in the ocean if you compare it with the number of films we make every year in India, like almost 1,300 films. So, I would like to say that in fact we make a lot of childish films, but not enough films for children. And coming to my own film, it has very it has a backdrop of a very strong social issue, which is in Assam. It's a witch hunting, and not only in Assam but also in many other states, especially among tribal communities. So when I read this novel, Ishu, by Monikuntala Bhattacharya, who is a very famous writer in Assam, so I thought it could be a very good story to tell on the screen where the protagonist is a child, and through him we get to know about a serious social problem. And I thought that would be an interesting thing to do, because when you take a look at many of the problems through a child's point of view, without any ideological or any other color, then you might come up with a different kind of take about that.
That's true, sir. It truly was a film that made me feel that way. But finally, I wanted to ask you about the Northeast, and in terms of how, in the modern day, we think the world is getting increasingly interconnected, but that's part of my own country that I don't know about. So, how do you think film as a medium can possibly help us bridge that gap with the Northeast, as you said, not being a space that's covered as much, say, in mainstream media and all of that? If you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, definitely, because Northeast has suffered all through the years from a major information gap. There are a lot of misconceptions about Northeast. Even the term Northeast is actually a misnomer now, except for a geopolitical kind of grouping. Otherwise, Northeast people, when you say Northeast in Delhi or Bombay or any other place, you think it's a very homogeneous area where there are 8 states and almost similar looking places, but it's not like that. If you go from one state to another, even within one state, there are so many communities, so many languages, so many cultures. So it's a very heterogeneous and very lively area, and there are a lot of positive things as well as negative things. Of course, the media most of the time highlights the negative things. So I think film as a medium can bring out a lot of stories from Northeast about its people, about its culture, about its societies, its folk tales, folk music, you know. So that's how I think films can play a major role. And in fact, a lot of filmmakers in Northeast have been making films that reflect their societies. So if one watches those films, people will learn lot about the region and its people. It's much better than watching a TV ad on Northeast
Yeah,
or
yeah.
tourism ad. I mean, that also has its purpose, but you don't really get to know the people and the societies through that. You just see some good images, beautiful images. So through cinema, we can actually bring the people of Northeast closer to rest of the world.
That's really nice to hear, sir. So I'd like to thank you for your time, but on a parting note, ask you if there's anything you'd like to say to our viewers, mostly young people who might be interested in filmmaking and taking up film. If you have a little message that you could perhaps end with.
Younger Nation is I think it's a website for young people, and I think there's a lot of information out there on the website. Especially, I like the idea of connecting through video blogs and all that. And I think as far as filmmaking is concerned, there are a lot of film schools which are there now. I mean, the FTI, sorry, FTI, these government-owned film schools are always there, and there are some good private schools also. And what I would only request the visitors to your website is that if whoever is interested in filmmaking, that just don't take cinema just as a medium of only entertainment. It's much beyond that. I mean, entertainment is of course there, but it can really impact your thought process. It can really widen your worldview. You can make you learn about people, societies, and all that. So, if you learn filmmaking with that kind of point of view, I'm sure it will really help.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, and please subscribe to these videos